Hello, my name is Jerry Casey, and I am 55 years old, currently going back to school to earn a bachelor's degree in organizational leadership. And I recently earned a degree in construction management from Collin College. So I grew up in Lindale, Texas. That's why I have this East Texas accent, which I'm very proud of. And moved to Dallas area in 1990. And my career is a construction inspector or public works inspector. Another hat I wear is project manager. So I work for a local city here, the engineering department, overseeing capital improvement projects. It's basically heavy civil construction. I went back to school because it was a bucket list dream of mine to get a degree. So right now I'm on track to hopefully receive my third degree within 2.5 years. So we'll see how this pans out, but I'm feeling very optimistic. So as far as my future, I have been thinking about either applying for a job that's coming up in December, and it's for an inspector supervisor, but it requires a 4-year degree. So I'm trying to get this class finished and be eligible to apply for that job. Alternatively, I may even move up to a public works director for some city in the Metroplex, or I may go back to work for a private contractor, because before I came to the city of Garland 25 years ago, I worked for heavy civil construction. I was inspector on the DART subway tunnels under Central Expressway, and then I worked on an underground lake essentially that was built in uptown Dallas, for a storm sewer project. So it asked me to discuss where I'm at on my leadership development. I think I'm in a good place. I haven't really had time to marinate and absorb everything that I've learned over the last few months. It's going to take a while for it to sink in and for me to reflect on what I have been learning, but I know a few things have instantaneously benefited me as far as being in a supervisor role. I'm over a few large projects, so contractors don't directly work for me. They work for the private contractor, but we're in a bid system here where a contractor bids on a project. Say, for example, I'm doing a huge project right now. It's a $25 million road and utility rehab. So the contractor works for the city, so basically I am the owner's representative. And so in some regards, the contractors answer to me, their project managers do. And so I do have a leadership role in that regard. So it's been a long learning experience after almost 30 years of doing the same position. About 5 for a private sector and about 25 for this government municipality that I work for. So it's different working for a government municipality. You have different rules. So I think being under the constraints of working under a municipality, a government entity, has kind of refined me somewhat to not be as short-tempered as one could be probably perhaps in the private industry. So I believe that my leadership development has improved dramatically over the last few weeks taking these classes. Discuss one or more items from the organizational programs that have really stuck in your mind. Maybe it was using data to solve problems, or perhaps different views of ethics from an organizational perspective. I'm reading directly from the paper, I hope you don't mind. So I think one thing that pops out at me was the pivot chart, and doing that assignment was very beneficial because I could put, let me just back up for a moment. So in my job, we deal with monthly pay estimates, and we have quantities such as square yards, cubic yards, and so after that class, I was able to take one of my pay estimates and reorganize it and make a pivot chart out of it, which was very fascinating because it gave me a different way to look at where all the money was going. It put everything in a category, and it said, you're spending this much here and you're spending this much here, which on one of these type jobs it's designed, we know where everything is going to go, kind of. I mean, there's some variances with that, but anyway, it was just interesting, and that's one of the processes that stick out. And then also just some of the ethics and management processes, like I said, they're starting to seat in my brain, but they haven't had time to really settle and let me do some self-reflection back on what I've learned. But some of the ethics stuff that I'm picking up from this class, I can definitely tell where it's going to be beneficial for me moving forward, because there's a lot of things, nothing pops to mind right now, but there was a lot of things that I learned in the ethics classes that are going to be beneficial for me. So I'm going to move on to question 4. So, as a leader, what challenges have you faced and continue to face? Has time management been a problem? Do you sell through composition papers, or is that a stressful struggle? How can I as an instructor assist you? So, like I said earlier, I'm an older student, and I grew up very poor in a kind of a, I'm not going to go into my past, but I grew up poor, and I was forced to basically quit high school, so and take a job at 15. So later I always had a desire to finish my education, so I went back and studied and earned a GED in the 80s, and went to a few colleges. I went to OSU, the Oklahoma State Engineering School in Oklahoma City, and took drafting and survey classes, but I never earned a degree. So I'm progressing to where I'm going here. So my early life, my early schoolings, I was taken out of school a lot of times, so I didn't really learn proper English mechanics and proper spelling, and essentially I didn't really have a 12th grade to kindergarten education, basically. So my grandmother introduced me to reading, and I fell in love with reading at an early age as a teenager, and I honestly believe if it wasn't for me desiring to read that I probably would not have gone on to get a formal education later in life, such as what I am doing now. So, I was very, very scared of taking Composition 1 because of my bad writing abilities, even though as an inspector for 25 years, I've had to do daily reports, basically handwritten, but over the last 2 years, I've segued into typing my reports. So, long story short, I get into this comp class about 2 years ago and discovered with modern technology, computers, spell check, and programs such as Grammarly and dictation software. I have wireless. These are Bose, top of the line headphones, but what's unique about them is they have a microphone and they're noise canceling. And so basically I can start my dictation software, which the particular one I use is Dragon, and I can just start talking and typing, kind of spitballing from the hip, and I found it pretty easy to type up a long essay or writing a composition. So then I go back and I thoroughly look over the paper and edit it over and over. Now, there are some things that I miss, and even Grammarly can't pick them up because it's just things you learn as a young person that they don't even register in my mind, like small grammatical errors with my writing. So I'm a terrible speller. But to answer this question, I've really enjoyed writing. It's actually become one of my favorite things to do through my adult college experience, and I'm probably going to go on to write some more even after I graduate from Texas A&M Commerce. So no, I don't really struggle. I have a very good imaginative imagination. So once I get rolling, it basically comes out everything that I want to say pretty easy, and then it's just a matter of going back and formulating it and editing it and putting it in something that's transferable to the general public. But I really have loved this class, this whole organizational leadership, and I may even go on. I'm looking at the University of Alabama has a master's in organizational leadership. If you can't tell, I have a hard time saying organizational for some reason. I guess it's the East Texas in me, but anyway, I'm going to end it here, and I look forward to taking your class, and I'm going to give 110% and work my tail off and try to give you the best paper that I can write. So anyway, I hope you enjoy this presentation, and as you can see, I'm not a skilled presenter or professional speech person, but it is what it is. So thank you very much, and I hope you have a good day.